So Amy took her car to see the baby at the hospital, obviously, and all my notes are in her car. So I went in. I said, "Oh my God, I'm trying to do my videos. What am I going to do now?" I went in and got the iPad and pulled all the horses up. Now there are two horses missing from the list: Rosa and Versatile, our filly, and Master Treaty, two polar opposites. So this doesn't look right. Look better now. Well, what the hell do I know? Anyway, as I said to you in the opening, bit of a flat opening, but what are you going to do? It's a crappy week. You know, it's the second week of the year. The track was bad. The farm track was bad. Horses didn't race great. We did have some good horses. Some horses race well, but nothing raced out of their skin, so to speak. So, you know, this is the time of year where it's always a little flat. You know, you people saying, "Oh, you know, the horses aren't racing that good." Well, that's because they weren't great horses. I mean, you know, Majesty Boy raced okay, finished third. You know, Art Seeker's not a nice horse. He finished 7th or 6th. If you knew Susie, I don't think was getting a hold of the track. Not a great horse, an okay horse. That's still bugging me. I didn't look up who we qualified. I feel bad. By the time I finish my baby's thing here with the iPad, I'll have met up with Amy and we will get my notes for the stables and the turnout. There's not a lot of turnouts either. So anyway, we'll run through the horses. I can't tell you much about this week that's different from last week. I can tell you some horses that impressed the hell out of me today that I thought looked good. Obviously some horses that have some you know, fabulous trajectory. They look like they're doing their work well, and they continue to you know, they continue to bring that good attitude to the track every day. And this week was a little trying for them too, just to try to jog slow, go easy, because the track was not in fit form. You know, that's a problem in its own sometimes, is trying to get the horses who are used to going out working and playing just to relax and chill. So, you know, a lot of their attitudes, actually, a lot of their work ethics bubbled to the top tonight, this week, with them learning just to relax, even though they want to get at it. This week was not the week up until today. Anyway, we'll start with Ailsund. I thought I didn't mention Ailsund to somebody. We went through a list. Oh my God. Went through a list of horses that I thought were really eye-catching, really look good. And I forgot to mention this filly. There was just so many on the list. And, you know, as I said, I'm not going to demean or belittle the years before this by saying, oh, this is a better crop, or that'd be stupid. You know, we had a horse that equaled the world record last year. We had 5 horses in Ohio that did tremendously well. We had another horse in Pennsylvania that did well. We had a horse that sold for 7 figures in Indiana. We had a horse that was second in the final and won a different one win the consolation in Illinois. We had a good year. So, I'm not going to demean last year by saying this year is better. I will say this. It appears that we have a deeper roster this year. Now, where the deepest is, who the best is, and what they'll do, who knows? And that may change quite a bit over the next 6 months. You guys saw that last year when See You in Tuscany qualified, and how good he looked. In Twinsburg, how good she looked. Virtually come out of thin air, come out of nowhere to do that. So looking at our roster, it just seems to me that we have a really deep group. So obviously I'd love to have a great year, but I see a lot of our best horses are in Pennsylvania right now anyway, which is scary in its own right. We got to head into their territory, into the deepest end of the pool, with horses that aren't Muscle Hills, that aren't Captain Treacherous or Sweet Lou's. Father Patrick's will be one. But a lot of horses that aren't the top bred horses, and that's always a question, right? It's always a concern in the back of my mind. Yeah, our Pennsylvania horses are training well. How's everybody else's training? So anyway, we'll get right to it. Ailsund, very nice filly. Very happy with her. Hits the ground hard. Not hard like a Clydesdale, but just a powerful, strong gait. She had those OCDs removed, so we're constantly working on her hocks, trying to get them to suck up. And sometimes when we bought her, her hocks were big. They were big. It's funny because when Rosa and Versatile had the OCDs removed from her hocks, there was no swelling whatsoever. None. You would never think she had OCDs. And what happens in those cases, if you don't look beforehand, you'll get to jogging and training, and all of a sudden one hawk will blow up and another, and you're like, oh, I wonder what's going on there. And it's an OCD. So we caught Rosa and Versatile's OCDs, although they were in there for a long time, since birth probably. There was no swelling to speak of, none. So they were in a good place, as you can imagine. Whereas Ailsund, her hocks blew up big. Now that's not a problem. We can combat that and work with that, but we're very cognitive of that being an issue moving forward, and doesn't appear to be an issue right now. Trotting great, looking great, just a really really nice filly. Anteros, can't say enough about our in-house Quasimodo, our horse with the roach back or sway back, I guess sway back, but some kind of trotter. I told you, there's always people out there that say, oh, well, what's he going to do in 210? Probably what he's doing in 240. Let's do it right. Now is when you see their comfort and their confidence start to wane a bit. When they get over those first couple of hurdles. To get over those first couple of hurdles, what does it take and what will they look like? Anteros already smashed through them both, no problem. Arctic Forest looks good. Still hits the ground kind of heavy. Danny said he wanted to switch the kind of flip-flops I have for a different kind. Okay, I have no real affiliation to those particular. As you can imagine, these flip-flops, these padded shoes come in many, many different makes and models and shapes and sizes, and the ones that we have on them, I like using, especially in the winter. There's not as much give. They're stiff. They're rigid. And I like them for the grab they have for the horses. But some of them do struggle a little bit in them from time to time, and Danny believes that Arctic Force would be better in another set. I'm not going to argue, because I don't think that he wouldn't be. I have no idea whether he will or won't be. Easy to find out. We're just going to switch them out. He looked great the other day in the video. Has looked great for the past month. So good, in fact, that Danny went from, hey, can you castrate this big, heavy stud, to just leave him alone. I really like what he's doing right now. So I take a lot of weight in what Danny says. He's been with me a long time and a very accomplished trainer for a very long time. Just a good all-around horseman. So Arctic Force, he's happy with him. We're going to make a slight change with his footwear, but nothing major. Probably something you won't notice, but will be evident. Beach Boutique has looked great now ever since I went with her following the open house. She's looked fantastic. I've been very, very happy with what I've seen from that filly, and she continued to look good again this week. They didn't train her, I don't think, this morning. If they did, I missed her, but I know how good she looked last week under the drone, and I know that Danny's really enamored with this filly. Another filly he loves is Beach Bum BB. I concur. I love this filly. She's got a beautiful attitude, great gait, quick, fast filly, and timid. She loves her work, but she learns every day, and she's a sponge for information. So for her to go out and learn how to pace the way she does, it's really, really interesting to watch that take place. Beach Bum BB, very good. Bend Over, again, we just put work into him this week. I see progression in that colt and have for the past 3 weeks. Maybe not the progression that we all wanted, where he went from making breaks to a few equipment changes, then boom, he was gone. No, I didn't see that progression, but I did see progression. I think you did too. Every week, Bend Over gets a little bit better. Bottle of Red, quietly always been in the mix. Always been in the mix. One of these days I get to go there, we'll cut her loose. Now, James is toyed with the idea. Nobody knows this until you guys. Right now, you're the first to know. James has toyed with the idea of coming out and riding for us. So you guys see James come out on drone day and go with some horses, and I appreciate that from James, because James learned from me. So there's no other way James knows how to do it, except from driving and whatnot and seeing how different trainers do it. But his information core came from me. So that's why I always want James going with our horses, because he knows what I want and how I train. And James has toyed with the idea of coming out and riding on a full-time basis. For those of you who don't know, James McDonald does not work for TheStable.ca. In fact, he does more work for Mark Stacey and other people than he does for us, and that's part of the job. But when it comes to day-to-day work, I'd love and welcome to have him out riding the horses every day, so that I can have another fresh set of eyes to see what's going on the track. When I'm not there, I'm very reliant on Mario, Danny, Ricky, and then when Harry or Kevin or any of them, Jason goes with them, very reliant on their feedback. And then we have, and not to demean these people, but they don't really, they aren't our trainers. They're not our trainers. The other riders that go, you know who I mean, the guys that go on the horses on drone day. And I appreciate them going with the horses. Otherwise, it would be tough to go with them. I know we had some people saying, the sets are too big. I want to keep them around 10. I want to keep them around 9 or 10 horses. What we need to do, I would say, the vast majority of the people that are concerned about the set sizes is because they can't discern the horses. That's our fault. So we've got another set of numbers with numbers on them like we used to, and we are going to try and make it easier. We could go out and get Trackus and spend $1 million and everybody could see every horse. That would be awesome. But we're not to that point yet, so you're going to have to bear with us. But having James out there would be tremendous also. So James, hopefully we can get him out full time. That would be helpful, so we can get a horse like Bottle of Red, really cut her loose, and you'll see what I see. Just haven't had a chance yet. Just had the riders going with her because she's done everything right. When we really put her in fifth gear, you're going to see she's a real good-looking filly. And her brother from another mother next, Brushcut, is a good-looking horse too. I don't have to say a whole lot about Brushcut. You can see big, powerful, strong colt, very fast, very nice horse. Brushcut, the world's his oyster. He can do whatever he wants now. What he becomes will be completely up to him, because it's pretty evident he's got all the tools to be a good horse. Cabernet, another filly I really like. Here's a Pennsylvania filly, Artspeak. I'm really crossing my fingers for Artspeak this year, because not just that we have 3 or 4, but I think that Pennsylvania, for a buyer's standpoint, Captain Treacherous and Sweet Lou have almost monopolized the market this year, and I think that's why we got a lot of these horses undervalued, for what I would say, because people were just focused and enamored with Captain Treacherous and Sweet Lou, as pretty hard not to be. They won everything last year. But Artspeak's new to the scene. Well-bred horse, was the best horse on the planet when he was 2, faltered a bit at 3, but doesn't mean he can't be a good sire. Took a mark of 147 and had almost $2 million made, well on his way to $2 million anyway. So Artspeak hopefully will show up, but absolutely could. And Cabernet is one of our good fillies. Every time she puts a pound on, she just goes a little bit faster. And I really like this filly. She's starting to put weight on and get some swagger and confidence out there. Really happy with the way she's looked. Another horse is brimming with confidence right now. Canadian Titan. This is a filly that really was self-conscious and you saw it when we started out with her, making breaks and acting up and making breaks and looking around. Now she's starting to get stronger and focused, looking really good. Still going to see her make the odd break. Not worried about that. Every time she makes a break, she recovers quickly. She understands the difference between what she's doing, what she shouldn't do. She's doing her best, and she's learning every time she goes on the track. Really happy with her. Classic Con, again, has looked good throughout. I know Mario wants his drive back on Classic Con, so he'll be going with him next week. It was a little short turnaround off his castration to his last training trip, and he didn't look super comfortable to me, but has looked great on the track ever since. Cheatin' Dixie, oh wait, no, Capistrano. These horses are now gated. You're going to see these 3 horses that were dropped off by Bob to go this week. Pay close attention to this filly, Capistrano. This is a War We Needy, and for those of you saying, oh, War We Needy was a fast horse. Was the fastest horse in the world, I believe, for a little bit. Definitely the fastest horse in Canada for quite some time. Mark of 46-4, big, strong, powerful colt. Won everything in Ontario. Broke track records left, right, and center when he was 2 and 3. Just a really good horse. Now, he stood stud at Casimir. Really didn't get great mares. But Bob bred this mare, who's a sister to Mr. Feelgood, to War We Needy, and got this beautiful filly, Capistrano. You're going to keep it. I'm not going to have to tell you to keep your eye on her. You're going to keep your eye on her when you see her starting next drone session. She looks really good on the track. Next, we go to Cheatin' Dixie. Cheatin' Dixie, she had some issues with her knees the last little bit. I saw her on the track today. Much better and much improved. Now, the Dewey, Cheatham, and Howes do have problems with their knees. And I had one of the best ones, at least in Canada, for quite a while. And he was the same way, the big colt. He was the exact same way. His knees bothered him throughout his 2-year-old year, and we really worked on him. And by the time we did get him to the races, he was fine and excelled. And I see a lot of him. Now, don't take that as Anthony saying that colt looked. That's not what I'm saying. I see a lot of him and her, a lot of the same way they move. They strike the ground, they come off the ground. Attitude on the track. She's a nice filly. We're going to take our time with her. She may or may not be in the next drone set, but she looked really good today. Classy Will. Classy Will looked great in his last drone session. Here's another horse I don't get to go with that often, but he really, and somebody would say, what do you mean he's got a big lazy gait? They were asking me why I said he had a big lazy gait. He's not a lazy horse. He's got that big kind of daisy cutter gait to him. He doesn't have that quick kind of typewriterish gait or that big, powerful, strong gait that some of the other horses have. But they all come in different shapes and sizes, and he wouldn't be the first horse by far that was a nice horse with that kind of gait. He just has that kind of loafy gait to him. Really effortless motion is really what he has, and just a really, really nice horse to watch on the track. So I'm interested in this colt also. Classy Will really impressed me the other day. Compass Rose DC. Here's a filly. She got the license to print money. She can do whatever she wants. Her attitude will be the only thing that hinders her. She got a beautiful gait. She can go quick, accelerates fast. She got that cranky sourness to her. Not a bad thing, I guess, to have in some mares. I guess one of the most nasty mares I ever saw was Rainbow Blue, who was one of the best mares on the earth at the time. And, you know, again, I'm throwing names out there to show you that cranky mares can do good. I'm not saying that Rainbow Blue looks like Compass Rose DC. One was a pacer, one was a trotter. One looked like a football player, and the other one's a 2-year-old, just turned 2. So, Compass Rose DC, a nice filly. She got that get away from me attitude, which not a bad thing to have at all. Crazy Mission. You saw Crazy Mission, probably one of our biggest movers of the entire set, of all the sets last week. You saw him that big move. And, you know, when you break it right down, yeah, he was in a slower set. He moved one time, but he looked good doing it. And that is huge progression, and that's what we want to see. Forward march. And Crazy Mission, definitely the biggest mover of the week last week. Going to keep our eye on him next time out. Don't believe me, just watch. This guy's just itching to have his accelerator pushed down too. I've never had a chance to go with him. I will make a point to go with him Monday or Tuesday. See if we can get a look at Don't Believe Me Just Watching. His hobbles were a little long. I'd say with a set of brace bandages on behind and a little shorter hobble, I think you'd see a quick horse. Got a beautiful, beautiful gait. Really like what I've seen with him. He's small, so let's see what he's going to look like all winter long. Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. Impressive all year. Haven't shown him off yet, but he's going to get his chance in the next few weeks. So keep your eye on him also. Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. Effusive, you've already kept your eye on him. If you haven't watched Effusive and liked him, then you must be blind, because he is a really, really good colt. Here's a Father Patrick that we're going to take to Pennsylvania. I forgot we had 2 of them. This Father Patrick, one of our nicest trotters, and has been for quite some time. The one day I went with him, I just thought he was just classy, is the way I put it. Just a classy horse. Obviously the most well-bred horse we've ever had, and just a good-looking horse all around. Does his work, knows what his work is, intelligence and knowledge beyond his training. Just a classy horse, smart horse. Effusive is a horse we have lots of hopes for this year. Emerald Miss has looked better every time we go there. For those of you, I keep saying, gee, she reminds me of her sister. Her sister was a very good filly. If you go back on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, go all the way back 2 years and look at Bourbon and Barley. Bourbon and Barley didn't train awesome until later in the spring. And this is the half-sister, the only sibling to Bourbon and Barley that we had, was Emerald Miss, and I really, really like what I've seen from her all the way through. Enduring Strength, as I said in the outset, he will be castrated in the coming month, but when that will take place will be after the next drone set. He's fast, he's quick, but I still see that Angus Hall voice rattling around in his head, and it's going to be a problem if we don't nip it in the bud. So, Enduring Strength looks good. Trotted gait. I actually trained that colt in 238 today. So, right up there with everybody else. Just need to remove the voice from his head. I think we know how. Anyway, Enjoying My Life, one of our top trotters all along, continues to be really, really nice filly. Has done everything right. I keep saying really, really nice horse, but there. We got a lot of horses that, I don't care who they had, what stable they were in. If you would disagree with me, then please feel free to forward me a message. But sitting behind, watching go, Enduring Strength, Enjoying My Life, just a really, really nice filly. Excellent Nation. Danny loves this colt. I got to look at him for the first time in the same eyes that Danny saw him last week. He kind of get out late and then bolted to the wire. Just looked fantastic. Training, very happy with him. This is a well-bred colt again, and I didn't have my eye on him until Danny said, hey, can you just leave me on that colt for a while? I really like him. I see why now. He's a really, really nice-looking colt. Film Fanatics, done everything we've asked him to do. This is the David Shea and his father own this colt. This is a Bettor's Delight, out of a sister to... I put myself on the spot. Out of a sister to All Bets Off. Ha! Out of a sister to All Bets Off in Film Fanatic. Looks great so far. A little bit behind, just a tiny bit behind everybody else. looked fine the other day to me. Forged in Fire is behind him even, but he really impressed me 2 weeks ago when I went with him. Then Ricky went with him last week, said, yeah, he looked great, but I didn't really get a chance to look at him. I thought he'd look a little flashier. I'm going to try to go with this guy next time. Really interesting mix there. His mother made 600,000, multiple stake winner in Ontario, and then went on to be a broodmare and threw the horse that won the Breeders' Crown this year. So just an incredible family sitting right there and Forged in Fire. And I'm very interested to see what this colt is going to do in the coming months, because Emoticon Hanover won the Breeders' Crown, Emmylou, who his mother, and a ton of his siblings all the way through, first, second, third dam, just total families packed with a lot of talent. And Forged in Fire, really interested to see how this guy's going to look. Impressed the hell out of me 2 weeks ago. Impressed Ricky last week, but I can't really say. I didn't get to see him. I'm going to try and see him real close next week. Fox Valley Shazam just looks better every time we go with her. It doesn't seem to matter who you put on her, Sandra, Mario, Ricky, whoever. She just looks really good. Danny went with her the other day and was raving about her. Really, really thought she looked good, and I thought she looked good too. French Twist, he might miss the next drone session because we are castrating that guy. His Angus Hall level is much higher than even Enduring Strength. Should have been castrated 3 weeks ago, but it was the Christmas season and the vet was gone away. He is back now, and French Twist will be a gelding soon. Frontier Cruise has looked great quietly. One of those horses where you watch the video and you're like, who's that? You don't really say that because he's so big, you know who he is. But he catches your eye. Just a really flashy, quick gait to him for a heavy horse, and just a nice horse all around. Really happy with him. Frontier Cruise. Fusspot. I'm not going to spend 8 minutes, 3 minutes, or 2 minutes talking about Fusspot. Fusspot is about 5 seconds faster than any horse in our barn right now. She's small, she's durable, she's quick, she carries her speed for long distances. She does every single thing you'd want to see a horse do right now. The only slight against Fusspot is she's small. How small? I don't know. What's too small? I don't think by any stretch of the imagination she's too small, and that would be her only dig, because she is as fast as a car right now. Globetrotting, quietly getting better for the people that own Globetrotting. I'm like, yeah, she looks good, but take your time. I'm going to take my time with this filly. She's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. You're going to see her confidence grow, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. You must have liked her the other day when she was in with Pacers. It was the only way that I could get to go with her, was to go with her with Pacers. So that is exactly what I did. There's my beautiful wife just pulled in now. So, Globetrotting's just fine. Second horse, Bob dropped off. Gold Watch. Well-bred, he's watching colt. Danny likes him. He said, go with him all week. Just watch it. He can bolt. And that can mean a number of things, but I think I'm probably going to figure out what that means kind of quick on Monday morning. But Gold Watch, he said, all three of these horses, first day I put the hobbles on them, all they do is go forward. Never do anything but pace. He said, very impressed with all of them. You'll hear about the other one coming up in a minute. But Gold Watch is a horse that I like. I'm going to keep my eye on. You should also. I'm guessing you probably will. Harness AM, the other Father Patrick we have. This is another filly heading into the deep waters this summer. Just a different horse when we put the hobbles on her. She just moves and moves and moves. Looks great. I haven't sat behind her in a long time, so I can't give you any first-person knowledge of her. But I know that Danny is wildly in love with her and likes her a lot. So, get over here, you. Stop annoying me thing. Harness AM. Not much to say about her. She does everything right. She's always happy and she's fast. We'll probably see in the coming weeks and months how good she is. No need to right now, but I'm very happy with Harness AM. Havana Unana. I haven't seen her since the last drone day when Ricky went with her. I went with Johan. Mario finished up super strong with Miss Mischief Maker, and right behind her was Havana Unana. This is a filly I love. Now, this is where breeding meets the literal road, because Jim Baffia trained this filly and said this filly is bred very well. I don't know enough about breeding. I took his word for it. I said, if you like her so much, buy her and we'll train her down. We'll take a look at her. She doesn't put together the best. I didn't love her yearling video, but she is powerful and loves to work. Ricky loved her the other day. He said, maybe her hobbles are too tight. No, they're not, Ricky. They're not too tight. They're just right. And I like how this filly works and what she does. I love everything about her. I like her. I always will cheer and gravitate towards underdogs. So the ones that we expect to be good. Maybe I could talk more about Effusive. He's supposed to be good. He's bred good. He looks good. He is good. But you find me talking more about the underdog horses. Fusspot, come out of nowhere. And then now we're talking about Havana Una Na. Like, she's a fantastic horse. She's just a really nice filly. But I'm very impressed with what I've seen from her. Heavenly Skies, Blair has her. I thought she was fine the other day. Somebody said, oh, she made a break at the wire. Well, I think she was shying away from the whip, and Blair was moving her, and she just made a little break. You're going to see that from time to time. Not a big deal. I would suspect Blair is going to try and make sure she makes all the drone sessions. Very pleased with his participation so far also. He's done a great job with this filly. And done a great job with his stable, his small one-horse stable that he has with us, but nevertheless, doing a great job. Hometown Boys getting better every week. Somebody said the other day, geez, you're really hard on him. He's lazy. There's nothing wrong with that. See, what happens is when you send them to the Amish and you break them, they put an incredible amount of work into them, but no speed. So you get them here and you try and train them, and it's like you're stuck in second gear. You can go around forever. They just don't speed up. So now we're teaching them to follow and move and sprint a little bit. And he is doing it. If you watch the video closely, I was very impressed with Hometown Boys last week. Although maybe it looked like I wasn't. I was. And I think he's getting better every single day. I'll play it alone. They said, geez, that colt's getting a little grabby now. I haven't gone with him yet. I said, well, change the bit in his mouth, and if you want, put a hood on him, but I'll go with him. Sometimes those guys get out there and they get sitting into their mouth, and the horses get wanting to fight with them and get racy. You got to have a real light set of hands sometimes, and I think this guy's just getting a little racy, and they're starting to fight with him. And I've never seen a horse being out wrestled by a human in my life. The horses are 1,000 pounds. If they get it in their head they're going to do something, they're just going to do it. It's up to you to not allow that voice in their head to begin with. Sometimes that happens. Oh, they get feeling good, they get playing around, and I'll Play It Alone looked fantastic last week and has looked great all along. Love this colt. Love everything about him. Obviously, his breeding. I talked about his mother when we first got this horse, how she did me a lot of good just as a driver, and I'm very impressed with her son. So I'll Play It Alone. No issues with him. Inland Beach, again, I'm going to try and go with her next time. You guys haven't seen how fast on her feet this filly is. Some people have, but it's hard to explain. She's just a really quick-gaited, fast filly, and I hope she does well. You know, for the guys that sent her up here from PEI, they kept a piece of her. Very happy they did, and along for the ride because she is a nice filly. Jailhouse Master, my boy, pretty hard to get too excited. He hasn't done a whole lot right. I always talk about how I like him, but he is fast. He is good. He wants to do his work. You got to have the equipment on him right. You got to have him shod right, and if there's any deviation from either of those two, he just can't function, and he's made breaks. And then you put Jason's big, heavy cement hands on him, and he makes a break. So, Jailhouse Master, he'll be fine. I'll try and go with him. He's another one I'm going to try and go with next week. Johan, pretty hard for me to go with Johan every week. He's so fast. There's other horses I need to go with, but Johan's incredibly talented. You guys got a real good feed of Johan the other day. There's not too many horses in this barn want any piece of Johan, I can tell you that. He looks great, trots great. Little squirrely sometimes, but really, really fast. Just for Me and You, another Pennsylvania like Johan and other ones. Knockdown, drag out. You have Just for Me and You. Just for Men You, I like to call her. Torches, Felix. Felix virtually bought all of this filly. I think he owns over 80% of her. Just an incredible looking filly. You know, in a tough division, even for our barn. We have a lot of good horses going to Pennsylvania, and this is a filly either James or I'll try and go with next time. You'll get a real good look at her. She can really trot. I trained her in 240 back when nobody was going in 240, and she's looked great throughout. Probably the standout of the barn thus far is another Sebastian K. Knockdown, drag out. And she just toyed with them the other day, you know. Both her, Miss Mischief Makers, the Donato Hanover, Just for Me and You, Harness AM. We have a lot of Pennsylvania trotting fillies especially, and some colts, but fillies especially that look great. And Knockdown Dragout's just an incredibly talented trotting filly. Very happy with what I've seen from her. She can do it any way you want her to. She can swoop them. She can roll along on the front. Her only frailty so far has been when horses go by her. She has to understand and learn to let them go and we will work our way back to the outside. She gets a little frustrated sitting in a hole, but that's why we do it. That's why we have these set situations. Knockdown, drag out, just an incredibly talented filly, and she's smart enough to get there. She'll get there. Just got to give her a little time. So I'll be back in just a minute. We finished up at knockdown, drag out. We're going to roll through maybe even the entire rest of the roster. We're at the 30-minute mark here. I'll be right back in 1 second, starting out with Libero Hanover. So we're moving on. Libero Hanover is quietly one of our better horses, and I don't talk about him much because I don't get to go with him, but he does everything right. Donnie loves him. You know, one of these days somebody's going to step up and we're going to let him dance, but no need to just yet. He does everything right for a horse that was so miserable and rotten when we got him and kicked the shit out of everything for one day. One day he just looked like a absolute terror, and after that he was fine, which does happen from time to time, but it's rare. And Libero Hanover, no concerns with him for quite some time. A horse I do have some concerns with is McPherson Thunder. McPherson Thunder, you know, from day to day in the barn and on the track, he's two fingers. He's quiet. Then you get him in a group of horses and he just turns crazy. And, you know, obviously the fix to that is pretty easy. He's just going to spend more time in sets of horses. And we'll get him sorted. But he has been a little bit of a problem for the last little while. Nobody can say he's not fast. He's incredibly fast, but just got to get his head, all the screws tightened up in his head, and we'll get that done. McNugget, slowly, quietly, just does everything right now, this filly. I knew she would. She was fat before, and we talked about a couple of these horses. The vet had put her on thyroid powder a little bit. She was just obese for whatever reason. She wasn't eating more than anybody else. She was working fine. Put her on a little thyroid and trimmed her right up. She lost about 60 pounds, you know, of just fat. And every time she loses a pound, she just looks better. Obviously, this isn't something she'll need forever. Maybe she's an underactive thyroid. I don't know. What the hell do I know? But I know that she's much better now. We'll wean her off the thyroid the next couple of weeks and then see how she is. I think now that her confidence is up and she's pacing quick and she's an athlete, that we'll be able to keep that chub, that weight off of her. No problem there. Miss Brampton Beast, what do I say about her? She's awesome. I can tell you what I can say about her. You're missing the boat on her because according to this, there's like 60 shares left. And, well, there's 30 some, and then they've held some shares back for that hockey team, but I don't see them coming out of the woodwork. So, Miss Brampton Beast, I don't know what to tell you. If there's a horse that wants to go with Fusspot and maybe can, it's her. Maybe her and Inland Beach, I think, are probably the only two. There's some nice fillies here, but they don't want any part of that little Fusspot filly, but this one might. Miss Brampton Beast, a big, strong filly. You saw, I went with her the other day. She's a powerhouse. She can really, really pace and carries her speed at long distances. Everything we want to see her do. Another miss that we all love, Miss Mischief Maker. It was great because I told everybody, you know, watch this filly go, watch this filly go, and I went with her 2 weeks ago. She was incredible, and then all the shares, poof, evaporated, which it's supposed to work that way. And then Mario went with her the other day and he goes, this is a really, really nice filly. I said, I know, she's really fast. Here's a filly, first foal out of a sister to What the Hill. Of course she's a nice filly. The only issue with her was she stood off a little bit. Hey, is she gonna interfere? Nope. Trots right up over her knees and looks like $1 million doing it. So Miss Mischief Maker, a horse I'm gonna definitely keep a very close eye on for quite some time. Muscle Chrome, quietly turning into a really nice filly. This is a filly that looked a little lethargic when we started with her. You know, didn't really know if she wanted to do her work. Now we get the hobbles on her, changed her shoes. She's brimming with confidence like a few of the other horses. She looked great the other day. Mario's been raving about her every week. He said, watch this filly. She looks very good. And her sisters, both Ben Bergeron and Mario, had. So he said this filly's mother, I believe he told me, had knee issues. So we've changed the shoes to take some of that shock, so it's easier on her knees and her feet. And what a difference! You know, we've been painting and working on her knees, but since we put a set of egg bars on her up front, since we put the bar shoes on her, she's just been a totally different filly, both in the barn and on the track. Attitude-wise, perfect. So Muscle Chrome, definitely a horse. Keep your eye on this filly. She looks really, and there's always some shares floating around. This is a filly that we've owned for a year and a half when she was a weanling, but there's always shares floating out there for whatever reason. People feel the need to sell her, but look great the last 3 weeks from where I stood on Muscle Chrome. Very happy with her. Nancy Allison, maybe one of the most stubborn horses I've had in a long time. But man, oh man, she looked good today's training. I trained her this morning. I'm not going to say how fast I trained her because it doesn't matter. But she's the fastest horse in the barn right now. And Nancy Allison, supposed to be one of her better horses. This is a very regally bred filly. From the day I laid my eye on her across the barn area in Lexington when they were showing the horses, and I saw her across the way, and then looked at her pedigree and said, we can't afford this filly. And then we did. We bought her. She was a real troublemaker when we started her, and she still can be. She can be a troublemaker. She wasn't today. She was perfect. I want to believe that she's getting better, but I think she's still going to have days where she's just a bit of a hellion. But today she was fantastic. Very happy with what I saw today. Need your opinion? She beat up on them the other day. Yeah, it was a slower set or whatever, but the guy that went with her never goes with horses. Colt, he jogs for us, but never trains. And he's out there going with her, and he had a smile on his face that long when he came in the other day. Need your opinion looked great. And for Matt Chappell, he sent this filly here. We talked about her the other day. He said, I might sell a little piece of her. And if you're out there and you're saying, yeah, you'd like to get in a little Ontario bred pacing filly, this filly's just a beautiful filly. She's not bred well, but she loves her work, and she's just a beautiful filly to watch go. I always gravitate towards the underdog grouping, but I love to see this filly go. She just goes out and does her work and looks good doing it. So, need your opinion. I like, and she's done everything good. Olympic Hopeful. I said this the other day in a video. I said, you may not know this, but Olympic Hopeful might have the best gait of any horse in our barn. The squarest, most fluid, strong trotting gait might be Olympic Hopeful. This is a filly that's an Illinois bred. It's an okay jurisdiction, but she can be staked to other things. But just a tremendous horse to watch go. Beautiful filly. And I had her brother for a short time, guilty of an excuse. He did me a lot of good. Won a number of races with him in the preferreds and the B tracks, and he was older then. This is an old family, but beautiful filly, beautiful gait, and I had her brother, and I really liked him. Now, she doesn't remind me of her brother, but at the same time, really, really happy with what I've seen from Olympic Hopeful. Overdue Mission. There's a filly I got to work with all week. She made a couple of breaks without the hobbles on, then she made a break with the hobbles on. I would suggest and surmise that some shoeing adjustments, equipment adjustments, and we'll get her right on track, because she's beautiful when she's going nice, and then she'll just lose herself and roll off. Pretty sure we can help her. So Overdue Mission, no issues there. Path of Totality looked great the other day. This filly's almost a twin of Miss Mischief Maker. She's a little bit behind her and was a little sicker than her, so she's a little weaker right now. But I think what you're going to see is, over the next few months, you're going to see this filly get stronger and stronger and stronger and look better and better and better. And this is a filly, I say keep your eye on them. Keep your eye on Path of Totality. I really like what I see in this filly. For a filly, I'm looking at her share price right now. There's a lot of shares left. They're not expensive. And as I said, reminds me a lot of Miss Mischief Maker. Maybe just keep your eye on Path of Totality. Pine Creek, I told you I would be working with Pine Creek, and for all you people out there saying, oh, she's making breaks and she looks terrible, I told you just to take your time. She was timid. Now's the time to get the equipment on her. I had some of it on her today. Much different filly, and I'll be working with her all week, and I think you're going to see what I'm talking about real soon with Pine Creek. Really Blue Chip, another filly, probably one of our better fillies. I went with her a long time ago. I said, wow, this thing's a freak. And then I hadn't gone with her in a long time just because I couldn't fit her into my dance card. But you'll see what I'm talking about one of these days, where James or I or somebody gets on her that's really going to cut her loose. You're going to see what I'm talking about. But man, oh man, Really Blue Chip's really nice filly. Rockin' Out Loud. Mario likes this pacing filly. She's done everything right for quite some time. No concerns here with her. Very happy with what I've seen from her, and again, what he's seen with her. She was a little tough to break, made a lot of breaks, cantered. Now we got her squared away, got different equipment on her, different gear, different shoes on her, much different filly. Very happy with what I've seen with her. I think you're going to see a lot of progression with her over the next couple of months. She's done more than enough to catch my eye and her owner's eyes. I think you're going to see a lot more from her in the coming months. Rooney Blue Chip, beautiful colt. I don't get to go with this guy, and I don't think I will. He's doing just good enough where I can't possibly work him in probably, but very impressive to watch. Does everything right, smart, thinks on the track, and rarely makes mistakes. Really, really like Rooney Blue Chip and what he's been doing also. Sebastian Ray, I told you guys keep your eye on Sebastian Ray the other day, and I cut him loose. He can really dance. Fast colt, well-bred. Don't know if I can continue to go with him, but I was happy with what I saw the other day from Sebastian Ray. A horse that is struggling right now. Had a little infection in one heel this week, so I couldn't work him the way I wanted with Sebastian Yu. You're going to have to take my word for it. I don't know if you're going to see it this week. I don't know how much work I can put into him from Monday to Friday and then into Saturday's drone, hopefully Saturday's drone, but we'll see. This colt here has got a great attitude too. He had a terrible attitude when we broke him. Very happy with what I've seen with him for the last little while. Not really sure if you're going to see him flashy this week. It's going to take a little polishing, and I need to go with him, but I'm going to start going with him on Monday. And we'll see how he looks next time. Sometimes things happen quietly, just a big, powerful colt that does his work really, really well. Everybody likes sometimes things happen. He's got those long pasturance behind, looks like he's going to run down, but hasn't needed them, and looked great. Looked great the last few times. I noted when I watched him go by me when I had the mic on the other day, how much I liked him and how much he got a beautiful gait. His ears up, just a great demeanor on the track, just a nice horse. Spend That Money is a filly that impressed the hell out of me. Really come out of nowhere. She had been going good, but everybody, you know, she was kind of in the mix. She was in the mix. And the other day, Stevie moved her 2 or 3 times. Man, oh man, did she look good. I was really happy with her. A filly I got to go with who did not look good was Spirit of Dio, the Trixton filly. I trained her about 3 weeks ago. I thought she went pretty good, and then looked atrocious the other day. I'm going to have to go with her. I know that she's got some talent and got lots of go to her, but obviously she's another one that needs a little equipment, maybe shoeing changes, and just needs a little tutoring. So Spirit of Dio is going to make it onto my list for the next week or so. Sunshine and Shade is not. He does pretty near everything right. I know that he made a couple of breaks last time, but I think that was just Sander not understanding how to get him moving and the confidence level he's going to need. His hobbles are out long, but I'm not pulling them in. And I think next time Mary will go with him. You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see a different horse. Susie K, just a pretty little filly. We don't have a lot of money tied into Susie K. Don't have to. She's done everything proper since we've been here. It looked like she might get at one knee, but doesn't really appear to when you speed her up. And she got a great attitude. Now, she is in the mix, kind of lost in the shuffle all the time, but she's an Ohio-bred filly by Climb Higher. Expectations are low, but she does everything right. So I'd love to say, hey, I'll go with her and tell you what I think. Probably can't work her in, but maybe we'll get James on her next time. We'll get a feel for what this filly is doing and what she's all about. Talking Peter, probably one of the biggest turnarounds this season outside of what we saw from Crazy Mission the other day, or where Fusspot came out of nowhere training 2 weeks ago. Talking Peter had one of the worst attitudes I'd seen in quite a long time when we first started him, and just a miserable animal. And then he just got better and better and better and better and better. He looked good the other day. Go back and watch the video. You might not see him because he ends up 4th and he was in the mix, and Donnie went with him, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go with this horse. I don't want him pulling up and making breaks. He was awesome. Really good the other day. So Talking Peter is a horse I'm happily surprised with, because I thought he was on his way to being gone. And he's really turned it around. Complete 180. None of the shenanigans he was up to before, pulling up and being rotten and bad. Just looks like a horse that's out there to work now. And that was something unexpected. Very happy with him. Horse I'd love to see get that attitude. I'd love to see some of it rub off on is Two of a Kind Hanover. My God, she's a lazy bugger. I haven't got a chance to go there, but I see her on the track. They're always picking at her and chasing her, and she needs to go forward to get her act together. But she's got a beautiful gait. She's well bred. I'm sure she'll figure it out. We just have to get her in the mix, keep her on a helmet, And only move her one time. Then when she starts to get that confidence bubble, then you can move her a couple of times, and then you can get her back in the mix. But it's going to take some time and a lot of work. 2 of a kind, Hanover. Nice filly, but needs to do a lot more. Trafalgar. This is the third one of Bob's that Bob dropped off. This is actually a Dally. This is a Dally, but she's a sister to Buckingham. Buckingham did us a lot of good, gave us some happiness last year. She won a stake race. She took a mark of 156 at 2. This is a bigger filly than Buckingham, and she's a Dally. Don't know much about the Dallies. I know I see a lot of them racing, which not a lot of them are being bred, so there must be a high rate of horses that get to the races by Dally. I don't really know what to tell you. I haven't sat behind her yet. I saw her on the track the other day. She looked great. Danny likes her. They're in their complete infancy right now. With complete infancy right now. So Trafalgar, you're going to get a chance to see her, as I am. I'm going to go there all week, as Danny's going to be away till next weekend. But I am going with Trafalgar starting Monday. So I'll have a better idea for you next week of what to think about her. I would suggest, by the way she looks on the track, she's already a sister to a filly that's done well for us. Very interested to see what's going to take place here in the coming months with Trafalgar. Time Old Dazzle, one of our nicest horses on the track. Still a lot of open wounds over this filly, how the owner had shares up for sale, and then he took them all back. I thought it was great because people were complaining that he priced her too high, and then all of a sudden they were all gone and everybody wanted shares of Time Old Dazzle. Well, that's the way it works. It's the open market, and the owner can do what he wants. There is one share owned outside of Time All Farms. That's Mary Leeson, and Mary wanted to keep her share, and I believe the doctor was very, very happy to let her do it. It was a little uncomfortable. She got one share of a horse. What's going to take place next year, or breeding her or whatever, I have no idea, but I know Mary's up for it, and she got herself a nice filly in Time All Dazzle. Time All Kazam, we threw the hobbles on that guy the other day. You saw a different horse. You know, here's a big lanky horse on a half-mile track, frustrating himself, trying to trot with other horses. We put the hobbles on. It was just like putting training wheels back on a bike. There's no issues. He just took off. So Time All Kazam looked good. I don't know what it'll look like next week. He's trimming down also. We got him on thyroid. He's trimming down also. He was flat out fat. He was obese. And now he's starting to come down to an athlete's level and starting to look good also. So we have the hobbles on him. Will he need them for a long time? I don't know, but he needs them for right now. Yours, if you want it, probably our second best looking trotting colt. And truthfully, in real time right now, maybe our best looking trotting colt right now. Rose Run Valiant's got to get his act together, which it appears he is, and he will. And he is... what are we talking about here? Yours, if you want it, is a horse that looked great the other day and has continued to look good. Now, I apologize. I need to backtrack a little bit. Not that anybody's going to be upset. Rose Run Versatile, back to the R's. I'm going to go back to the M's in a second. As I said, Amy had all my notes, so I'm literally looking at the TheStable.ca computer screen going through them. Master Treaty isn't on there. Not a big deal. Master Treaty is owned by Chad Hill, a friend of mine. Tough to say anything nice about this guy. He's a vintage master, lazy slob, who needs to do a lot more. But he can at any time. We have a couple of our own little slobs in here, too, that need to really pick it up and get off the couch and stop eating Cheetos. And Master Treaty's one of those. Rose Run Versatile is a filly that Amy and I technically own right now. We haven't offered any shares because she had that OCD surgery to take chips out. We paid for that. We still have to pay for the filly. For Archie and Rose Run Farms. I appreciate the patience, but Archie understood we're taking the chips out. I can't possibly sell shares of a filly who just got operated on. I saw what I liked today with that filly. She looked really, really good. I'm going to go with her all week. I think you're going to see a very, very good gated filly next week at the Drone in Rose Run Versatile, and then I suspect then we'll put some shares up for sale shortly after that. Back to where we were. Time All Kazam, yours if you want it. Yours if you want it. In real time, probably our better looking horse right now than Rose Run Valiant, but I suspect by the next time we drone, Rose Run Valiant will reclaim that honor quite quickly. Utopian. This is a colt, a beautiful big Jim colt. He'd been sick a long time. I meant to turn him out and I didn't. But they haven't said anything about him, so that must mean that he's going good. There are some horses, truthfully, that fly under the radar just because they're doing their work well. Anthony doesn't need to go with them right now. It's January. It's not a big deal, and Utopian's a horse I rarely get to go with. I wanted to go with him last drone day. If you remember, my name was on Utopian, but I couldn't go with him because he had a temperature and a lot of mucus, and we scratched him. But I guess he's doing well now. We'd probably put him on XSTEM also to try and boost that immune system. I don't know if it works. The product claims it does, but a lot of products claim they do a lot of things. We'll see. So Utopian will fit right into our schedule of changing the way we deal with horses that get sick. And don't make this a slight on Utopian. There's lots of horses here. Watch Av was a horse that was very, very sick, and now he's very healthy. Just change the way we treat them and get them over it. I'm very happy with what I've seen from Utopian so far. Really interested to go with him. I think this colt's got a lot to offer and a lot of speed. We're going to see soon enough. Watch Av. This is a horse that I told everybody, keep your eye on this colt. A lot of shares left. His share prices will be going up to reflect his billing soon enough. So if you're out there saying, I might buy a share, yeah, you probably should. Because a lot of these prices will be going up at least $20 to reflect the billing on shares that I'm left holding. So if I don't sell shares and the prices never go up, what reason would you have to buy any horses before April? None. And then I wouldn't be paid for those months that the horse was in training. So it only makes sense. Those share prices will be going up. And watch Av, if you can't look at what took place over the last 3 drone sessions and see how much progression has been involved with Watch Av, then you're missing the boat here. This is a nice colt. Again, I don't want to seem like I'm pushing anybody to do anything. I don't really care if you buy the shares or not. I own a lot of shares of Watch Av, and I'm happy to. Just a good-looking colt. Watch List, not so good. This is a tiny little guy. Probably going to have to meet with Bob. I would suspect Watch List probably going to be sold. I don't know if he's going to be stake colt material, and I don't want to waste people's money. And there might be somebody out there that just wants a really nice Ontario bred 2-year-old, and he is well bred. He wants to do his work, and he's flashy on the track. I just don't know if he's going to hold up. He's not put together perfectly or correctly, and I would suggest we'll probably just sell Watch List. And he's a nice horse. If we had a smaller stable and we weren't really concerned with, only looking for stake colts and fillies, because we are, then Watch List would fit in fine. But I would suspect that a well-bred colt like him with such a great attitude that can train in 245 right now, I would suspect there's probably somebody out there that'll buy him. What's he worth? 10, 12, 14,000 maybe. But a nice colt. So maybe just not what we're looking for here at the stable. So I probably have to sit down and talk to Bob about Watch List. But he's done everything right, the little bugger. So good on him for doing that. Wiggle Delight. Here's a filly that's done everything great. Mario would come to me again and said, I'll go with her next time. Sandra went with her, but Sandra's not a trainer. So she just kind of sat out there and did her work. And she did it well as she could, but not as well as she could. So Wiggle Delight is a filly that I would suspect is going to look pretty good the next time she goes. Willpower Fashion. Here's my boy, Will. Will is probably the safest gated trotter in the track. I'd said to you that Olympic Hopeful had the best gait. Willpower Fashion doesn't run. Very rarely. I don't know. I pushed him really hard a number of times the other day, and I couldn't get him to run. He's fat. He's a big boy. Well, I bought some thyroid for him also from the vet. He's coming out of that sickness. He was another one that was quite a bit sick. He's coming out of it. I still see some mucus, and his hair is a little dull. We're trying to get him built back up and boosted. Put him on XSTEM. We're going to have him on some oral vitamins and put him on thyroid. Now, if you remember, go back and look at Willpower Fashion's video and how good he looked the other day. Healthy-wise, right around 70%. So Willpower Fashion can only get better from here. He is a beautiful trotter with a great gait, just loves his work, and I love the horse. I couldn't say enough things about him. Willpower Fashion's a horse is going to hopefully do some good for us because, man, oh man, he is a beautiful animal. And our boy Zeb Sunshine. A lot of people said, oh, Zeb Sunshine's a little shuffly behind, and he's a little, yeah, he had a chip taken out of his hock. He's way behind everybody else. So he might look a little rough around the edges. That's because he is. And it's going to take a little polishing time with him. We're going to have to work on that hock continuously to make sure that he stays comfortable and sound on it and that he can progress both physically and mentally at a proper rate. Zeb Sunshine looked great on the track today. We were training a bunch of them, and he went the right way of the track for a little bit with, I forget who I had out there, but I thought he looked great. So Zeb Sunshine, yeah, he's a little rough around the edges because he's a little rough around the edges. And that's because he had a chip taken out of his hock and he stood in the stall for a month. So as everybody else was jogging and learning how to train and work hard, he was standing there doing nothing. So I'm not concerned with Zeb's Sunshine. I think Zeb's Sunshine will be fine. No concerns with me for him. He'll probably look better and better and better. You'll see the progression from Zeb's Sunshine. Some horses that really, really caught my eye in the last little while are in the barn. Some really impressive looking horses. Fusspot. Well, let's just say, who looks the best on the trot and on the pace? I don't want to say the trot because we got so many nice trotters. I think it's fair to say Fusspot on the pace, Miss Brampton Beast close behind. I guess Knockdown Dragout on the trot with Miss Mischief Maker close behind. And a number of other ones. Man, oh man, we got a lot of trotters that really, really impressed me and catch my eye. Johan, really blue chip, Enjoying My Life, and Taros. I could name probably 30 that are impressive. So I think that's fair to say. If the second week of January you're going to put a gun to my head and say, two best on the pace and on the trot, Fusspot and Miss Brampton Beast on the pace, and gingerly I would say Knockdown Dragout and Miss Mischief Maker, I would think. But there's a host of others in both that are lined up to take a crack at the title and the runner-up spot along the way. So a lot of very interesting looking yearlings here, a lot of horses that catch my eye. You can tell by the way I'm talking, a little pissed off about the track this week, but that happens. It's not the end of the world. Nobody got hurt. I'll be back in a minute. We'll talk about all the barns. Talk about Jason's barn, Harry's barn, Kevin's barn. A lot going on. A lot of horses back from the field. A lot of horses training down. A lot of horses racing. And a couple leaving. So, that's it. That's it for the babies. We're almost just under an hour again this week. Not bad. 78 babies in 56 minutes. Not too bad. Anyway, that's it for the babies. I'll be back in a minute with the barns. Only got a couple of turnouts. Maybe we'll touch on them quickly. And then I will, that'll be it for this week. Anyway, hope everything's going good for you. It's been a kind of a weird weather the last little while. It's cold today. It's supposed to heat up again at the end of next week. So we'll see what happens with our drone next weekend. But it's definitely hot where Curtis is right now. He's in Mexico. So hopefully we can get the drone done. All the horses trained and polished and everything will look great. Will it be perfect? No. How can it be? But we will do our best. Be back in a minute with all of the burns.